Boomer.
Hey, good morning, man. Sounds like somebody lost their voice in another Victory Monday. Can you guys handle all this winning?
I mean, it wasn't pretty, but a gutsy performance by this defense yesterday.
Hey, listen, this is Northeast football. It's snowy, it's sloppy, it's slippery. Looked like Houston is a team that plays indoors, and C.J. Stroud doesn't like inclement weather. And, you know, I mean, for years and years and years and years and years, I remember listening to Coach Parcells always talk about Northeast football. You could say the same thing for Midwest football as well, that you got to be able to run it. You got to hold on to the football. And when you do pass the football, it's got to be, you know, it's got to be like, you got to know where you're going. You can't make mistakes in the playoffs. And C.J. Stroud, unfortunately for him, literally had his worst game as a football player, I'm sure, in his life.
Back-to-back weeks where the Patriots offense struggles. From your perspective, is that an issue or is that just playing better defenses?
I just think you're playing better defenses. Remember, when this whole thing started, everybody was talking about strength of schedule. And I was talking about validating who they were as a team. They have validated who they are as a team, especially defensively. But I will say, there were a couple plays yesterday that were made, 3 by Kayshon Boutte and a couple by Stephon Diggs. A couple of these catches were unreal. I mean, and the passes were great. I mean, they were spot on. They were perfectly located. And those guys somehow, some way were able to catch the ball away from their body in those conditions. You know, that's the kind of winning plays that win football games. And, of course, you know, when you have the other quarterback imploding right before everybody's eyes in the first half, I mean, you know, this was a win that was, I think, another validation to at least to the New England Patriots defense.
Boomer, you talk about the fact that you played another good defense. I think it's time to now give the New England Patriots defense credit. Talk about what they've been able to do these past couple of weeks, and especially yesterday.
Yeah, there's no question. So it always starts with stopping the run. And that's exactly what they did yesterday. I think they gave up something like 50 yards on the ground. So now that puts the pressure on the opposing quarterback. And like I said, C.J. Stroud was not, you know, obviously he lost a number of his players around him, but so did Josh Allen. You know, a couple of teams, you know, are limping into the playoffs without question. But stopping the run is always the most important aspect. And I'm sure Mike Vrabel will tell you that. And if you have the weather conditions that you had yesterday and you're forcing the other team to throw, and they literally have only one wide receiver to throw it to, and that was Jaden Higgins, you know, now defensively, the strategy changes. You could try to take him out of the game, which I think they did in the fourth quarter. But the amazing thing to me was still how close this game was going into the fourth quarter until the final touchdown. Now, I will say this, that the first touchdown pass by Drake Maye on fourth down, that's Tom Brady-esque. That Tom Brady made a living on doing stuff like that. It was a great route. The ball gets tipped. Douglas catches it, goes for a touchdown, and you're thinking this is going to be a runaway game. But the weather, again, like I said, played a major factor in both teams' offenses not being as smooth as they can be. And now, lo and behold, the Denver Broncos get a huge break with Bo Nix going down for an AFC championship game.
Boomer, how does this Patriots team match up with the Broncos, and how big of an advantage is it that Jarrett Stidham's now their quarterback?
So, Courtney, really interesting yesterday. I was talking to a friend of mine who does analytics for the NFL and for games, and he gave me a stat that I couldn't believe. And he said that Bo Nix in the first half against the Bills ran with the ball for about 450 yards. Now, obviously, all of that's behind the line of scrimmage except for a couple of those yards. And the defensive linemen playing against Bo Nix in Denver get exhausted. And, you know, Buffalo had a very thin defensive line due to injuries. And there was a game that the Chiefs were playing, and my buddy who does this for a living was sitting behind the Chiefs bench when they were playing the Denver Broncos. And he said, he was standing on the sideline. He goes, the defensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs were exhausted from chasing around Bo Nix. Now, with Jarrett Stidham back there, that's not going to be the case for this defensive line. And by the way, this defensive line now, when they are whole, they are playing great. This reminds me of when the New York Giants won their 2 Super Bowls. Quarterback played really, really well, but the defensive line of the Giants won those 2 Super Bowls, if you remember. And I'm sure you remember. I'm sure you remember. But I'm just saying, like, this defensive line is now starting to assert itself exactly, I think, the way that Mike Vrabel expected it to.
Time for this week's Drake Take from Boomer, which is presented by your New England Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive. Drake Maye, 4 fumbles yesterday. Thanks to his teammates, they recovered a couple. So, what do you give him grade wise yesterday? And what does he need to do when it comes to holding on to the ball?
I'm giving him a B because he had 3 touchdown passes, and in those conditions, not easy to throw. And I thought those touchdown passes, like I said, especially the one to. Actually, all 3 of them were terrific throws and terrific catches on the side of the wide receivers, and 3 different wide receivers, by the way. So all of that is great, but ball security is the most important thing, and I'm sure Josh McDaniels is going to be telling him that. He's going to say, look, we got to protect the ball. The only way I believe they lose to Denver this week now is if they are minus in the turnover ratio. And by the way, Denver got a lot of turnovers this past week against the Bills, something that they hadn't done defensively consistently during the season. So that was a little bit of kind of an awakening, I think, for Drake Maye going into this game. Just hold on to the ball, man. We got to run the ball on a smaller defense. We got to control the football. Our defense should be able to control the Denver Bronco offense. So the only way that New England loses this game is if it's a defensive turnover by Denver or some other crazy situation where there are turnovers or special team scores by the Denver Broncos. And that's why the New England Patriots are favored as much as they are favored by.
Boomer, going back to that Bills game, I understand the conversation about interception or catch, and I'm sure people vary in their beliefs on that. But I don't understand why the Josh Allen decision to lateral the ball right before halftime is not a bigger national story. If they just don't do anything there, take a knee, the Bills win the game. What was your take on the play that everybody's talking about, and what do you think about Josh Allen there?
First of all, I'm an offensive player, and I thought it was a catch. And I had trouble sleeping on Saturday night. I'm talking to all my buddies who have played in the NFL. I'm talking to coaches in the NFL, and I asked one question: catch or interception, guys? And I literally every single guy that I called, and it had to be at least 20 of them, or texted with, all said catch. Now we're breaking this down like this is a Bruta film, for God's sake, and it's all over the place. And I think the Bills got jobbed there, but the Bills also created a lot of their own problems, including what happened at the end of the first half. I mean, this is the way that, a favored team loses games, when you get loose with the football. And maybe that's why Josh was so emotional after the game, because that's not usually the way he plays. I mean, he didn't have any turnovers in the previous 6 playoff games, and I think 18 touchdowns. So he's always been, the reason why the Bills have won. And when they do lose, it's when he gets a little loose with the football. So, I mean, I feel sick to my stomach about the fact that he's not playing in New England this week. I mean, that's what I was hoping for, but it's unfortunate and really, really going to be scrutinized, because last night in the game between the Rams and the Bears, same thing happened. Almost the same exact thing happened with Davante Adams. And they called Davante Adams knee down, and he's got the ball, and, the Chicago Bears are ripping the ball out of his hands. They have it. I mean, it's crazy. And then, of course, Chris Collinsworth makes mention about Buffalo Bill fans. And if you put those 2 plays side by side, man, they are really, really similar. And the outcome was different.
That doesn't matter because it was a loss. But have you seen a throw like the one that Caleb Williams made last night?
Oh, it was ridiculous. That was insane.
I mean, unbelievable. With regard to Buffalo, any chance they make a change when it comes to McDermott?
There's always that possibility, man. I hope not, guys. I mean, I like Sean McDermott, and, I try to be objective with these things. I try to look at these things a little bit differently, and he's been really hit with some really hard luck plays over the last few years. I mean, it's just excruciating. And, the Pagula family, they are a wild card, so I don't know what they're going to do. None of this is on Sean McDermott, maybe with the exception of the end of the first half. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, top end quarterbacks, you're always going to give them a chance to score touchdowns. And if you don't, then, everybody's saying, you packed it in and you're conservative when you shouldn't be in those situations. So that was really an unfortunate fumble that if he does get fired, I would think that would have to do with a lot of what happened at the end of the second half as opposed to what happened in overtime and at the end of the game.
He's had a lot of years up there, though. A lot of years to get it done.
Yeah, but I understand, but this is not a team that just went 4-13. I mean, this is a team that was decimated by injuries all year long, and they made it to the divisional round, and without a blown call, they're playing in the AFC Championship game. And I feel bad for Josh because obviously, without Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson in his path, you would think that this would have been the easiest path for him to get to the Super Bowl. It's never easy. But even now, I think playing against the Patriots as opposed to having to go to Houston would have given him a much better chance of, winning and getting to the Super Bowl because they had been in New England a few weeks ago and won, so I'm sure they would have been confident going in.
He's been coaching there for as many years as Carson Beck has been out of college.
Yeah, and not going to class. Yeah, I know. I mean, can we be real? How many guys are really going to class? I mean, come on.
Boomer, what does everyone in New York, the Jets fans, the Dolphins fans say today? Because all I heard for the Brady Belichick years was you just lucked into a quarterback. You lucked in it with Bill Belichick. It's very difficult to win unless you do that. And now the Patriots have rebuilt another team that's in an AFC championship while the other AFC, losers still sit at home.
Well, I work with a Jet fan down here, Mike Fliegelman, and he's always the guy that's hooking us up. And I'm going to ask him as what he told me when I sat down here in this at the desk here getting ready to talk to you guys. Mike, how do you feel about watching the Patriots rebuild under your eyes?
I mean, these guys lucked into it again. Another dynasty incoming.
Yeah, there you go.
They are really frustrated with you people up there, I'm just telling you. I just like bringing you Victory Mondays, but every time we sit here and he's got to listen to me talk about Victory Monday, he gets angry at me too.
Well, the Jets had a chance to get Mike Vrabel, but they chose to pass on that one. So
yeah.
No, the Jets didn't decide to pass on that. Mike Vrabel decided to pass on that. And he took the right job where he's comfortable, and he had the quarterback, brought back the offensive coordinator, and bought some defensive players. And lo and behold, they're on the cusp of yet another Super Bowl appearance.
Question of the week for Boomer is brought to you by McFarland Energy, the region's most dependable provider of home heating oil delivery and expert HVAC services at McFarlandEnergy.com. Couple weeks from now, you're on record. Who do we see in the Super Bowl?
Seattle, I think. It's gonna be really tough. I mean, before everything started, I thought Rams and Texans, to be honest with you. I didn't expect that C.J. Stroud was going to play just horrendous football the last 2 weeks. But Seattle is going to be really difficult for the Rams to go in there and beat. They know each other. It's, obviously a division matchup again. And the Rams, look like to be pretty much healthy, especially at wide receiver. I mean, they can go in and do it, man. But that performance by Seattle, that was just so impressive and just so intimidating. I mean, the 49ers didn't have a chance the moment the game started, obviously, with a kickoff return. But I think Seattle now looks to be the team that's going to make it to the Super Bowl.
And you would be shocked if the New England Patriots are not right there.
Totally shocked, especially with the quarterback situation. Most important place in football now. Nick Foles did it with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if Jarrett Stidham has it on him. I mean, he hasn't thrown a ball since 2023. You guys know him. You guys drafted him, but I mean, this is going to be a really tall task for the Denver Broncos.
All right, Boomer. Well, thanks for taking the time on a Victory Monday. We will talk to you again next week.
Hopefully, it'll be another Victory Monday.
Let's go.